Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Dani Mantilla y seguimos aquí haciendo entrevistas en Valladolid, en la Seminci, en este maravilloso Teatro Calderón, hablando con talento nacional e internacional, internacional en este caso. Desde Noruega nos llega Halfdan Ullmann Tøndel, director de la tutoría, Armand en su versión original. Welcome to Valladolid.
Thank you so much.
It's your first time here in Spain?
First time here in Valladolid, yes.
And how has been the experience so far? Because you have arrived last night?
Yeah, I arrived last night, and as you do in Spain, you eat a very late dinner.
Yep.
When we Norwegians usually go to bed, you start to eat dinner.
And you're going to have a late lunch as well?
Late lunch and late dinner and late screening, and everything is late. But it's good. It's been very hospitable so far, and a lot of interesting questions have been asked about the movie, and yeah, I feel a lot of good attention.
And there's something really interesting about traveling with a film, because you see the different kind of feedback you have with Armand in this case. What's been the most surprising thing when you get a response for the film?
What's the most surprising thing?
Yes, when the audience reacts to it.
I mean, the good thing about this film is I get so many different kind of reactions. Of course, there's something that, it's persistent. Everybody thinks it's a quite intense experience watching it, and the most surprising reaction. Oh, it's a difficult question. I can't really remember, to be honest. I can't remember.
You have released this film in Cannes.
Yeah.
It was the world premiere where it won the Golden Camera, the best first film. How was doing this film? Because I read that you think of this idea for Armand after a conversation with a friend, and there was like anecdote, and you kept with it. Why? What was the thing that struck you the most about this situation?
I mean, the situation in itself, I think it was interesting, and it was like thematically it had something there, but for me it felt really like a place where I could explore a lot of other things that I was interested in. It was a really good place to have these characters that are all really a big part of me, to have this main character, not at least, Elizabeth. I had this really strong sense of her being this strong, very sensible, but also manipulative woman in one moment, and then totally helpless in the next moment. And also all these, fear-driven characters, all of them are so afraid of everything, and they're acting of fear. And I think, it was so many interesting things that I can put in this film. And of course, also using the school as one location, for me, that was a real gift, like cinematically. And I slept over in my school when I was 12 years old, and I still really remember. I was struck by the atmosphere in the school in the evening when it was so silent. It was so mysterious. It was like the soul of the school, was awake, and it was a really big contrast to when the school is in the day, when it's light and it's life and the kids running around. So there was a lot of things I can put in this film that really was something I loved by making this.
Because it has like social elements, it's like a character study as well, it has thriller, it's so many things. I was going to ask you about the location thing, because it's mostly set in a school, but I never felt that I was watching a play, for example, because sometimes happens with this kind of stories that are set in one place. How was dealing with that? Yes, the challenge of avoiding theatricality.
It was a real goal and vision for me that this was going to be a very cinematic chamber play. So first of all, of course, I hired a fantastic DP, cinematographer, and I talked him through my vision about, and we talked about a lot of all these great films that are set in mainly set in one location. Rosemary's Baby, Melancholia by Lars von Trier, the Celebration by Thomas Vinterberg. All films that are set in mostly in one location, but are still really cinematic. So we kind of studied how they do that, and the thing we landed on was that we have to have a quite like dynamic cinematography. So we do handheld, we do static, we do dolly, we do a lot of different things. And to create that dynamic was really important for me visually, and also kind of shooting it in a bit vintage way, you know, taking inspiration from older films, how to set up the camera with the actors, and doing like mise en scène a little bit old school way.
And what about the atmosphere? Because it's something that you can see, but it's I think more difficult to explain because you don't see it on set. It's like a contrast because you don't know what's going to be the final result. What was this design of this like claustrophobic element of the story?
I mean, since the theme is a little bit uncomfortable, I felt it was a really good playground to make this claustrophobic, you know, story. And for me, as well as a bit stressed person, maybe a little bit anxious person, I can feel easily claustrophobic. So the claustrophobia was really easy for me to put in. And of course, there's a lot of dialogue in the film, and it never stops, and the laughing never stops, and all this creates this tension that continue to create claustrophobia. And for me, you know, also the geography of the school, I wanted to confuse a little bit. I was really inspired by in the Mood for Love how Wong Kar-wai shot the apartment, because you never get an overview on how the apartment is shot, and it's so claustrophobic not knowing, and that uncertainty also was really like reflective on Elizabeth's uncertainty on the situation, because she gets accused of different things all the time, and it's like, you know, in the process by Franz Kafka, you know, it's all these allegations keep coming, and the walls, and you feel the walls around you gets closer and closer and closer, and it eventually becomes a nightmare.
The film deals around a situation with two kids, Armand, one of them. Were you sure since the start that they didn't need to appear on screen, or was something that came up later?
No, I was certain from the very start that I will never see the kids. I will never give them time, apart from the very last scene. For me, it was much more interesting that the audience was going to construct the image of the kids based on the information they were given, because that was also like that's the mechanics of prejudice also, you know, you use small pieces of information on people you don't know, and you construct a narrative. So I wanted the audience to do the same with the kids, and do that based on what the parents were like. And you know, I've been working in a primary school for many years, and that's what we did also. We judged, and I'm not happy to say it, but we did it. You know, if a kid did something, we judged the parent. If the parent was acting strange, we were looking for signs in the kid if there was something wrong.
Renate Reinsve is a big part of this film. Her performance is incredible. I think you knew her like 10 years ago. You did like a short film, 2 days. When did you think of her for this character?
The day after we made the short film.
You knew that you had to work with her again.
Yeah, we for us the short film was such a profound, special experience, and we was completely sure that we were going to make something bigger one day. And I had also seen at that time she had done great things in theater, but she hadn't showed it in TV yet, or in film yet. So I really felt I had seen something in her that we hadn't seen before, because she's such a raw, expressionate actor, and it's, I mean, she's so talented, so gifted, and yeah, I wrote a role for her, of course, and she has been a true, very loyal supporter throughout the financial process.
I don't want to spoil it, but there's a scene with crying, with laughing. How many times did you make it? And how was it on screen? How did you guys create that powerful and surprising moment?
Yeah, it was. I mean, in the script, it said like she laughs for a long time and then she cries for a long time, and then Renata asked me, "What's a long time?" I said around 7 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we didn't talk too much about the scene again. We knew kind of intuitively how the scene was going to be, but of course it was a really challenging scene to shoot. She had to do it a lot of times, and she, because she's great, she had found a way to make herself laugh naturally by what the nurse was saying, but of course we shot it for a whole day, 10 hours, and she then had 5 days off.
I remember watching this film at Cannes, and when I saw that scene, it's like, wow, how was that made? Because sometimes if you read a screenplay, it can say, for example, they have sex. It's like, that's too vague. You have to film that after, and I was wondering how was putting that on the screen.
Yeah. So I also need to give a big shout out actually to my editor, because it's a really well edited scene, and also he listened to me when you know I pitched the film, because in the script it didn't say 7 minutes, but I said to him 7 minutes. So when I watched the first cut of the film, he had actually made it really long, and even though it didn't work completely at that time, I saw, you know, what this scene could be like, and a very interesting thing about this scene as well, when I watched it in Cannes with the audience, I really felt that, you know, the journey that the audience was on with this scene, and that was amazing for me to witness.
Yes, because I think we as human beings don't like to be exposed to this kind of unpredictable, so intense emotion. It's like we don't want to be there. We don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
If it's better to say something or to let her be, and it's a really powerful moment. As the dancing scene, I read that you love dancing in movies. Why did you decide to put it like in a movie that maybe doesn't ask for it, but it like stops the movie, and then it's also a powerful moment.
Yeah, for me it felt actually quite intuitive to put it in, and it wasn't supposed to be that long, but then the choreographer and Renata had made this 3.5 minute dance, and they showed it to me 5 days before shooting it, and I just loved it. And for me, filmmaking is about, you know, feelings, and since I loved it, I put it in. And like rationally, I think it makes also a little bit sense to have it there, because, you know, she's an actor, she's trying to resurrect herself, and everybody at this point is starting to lose their sense of reality. So I wanted to, you know, underline those elements as well, and yeah.
Elizabeth is such a fascinating character. Why an actress? Why did she have to be an actress?
I mean, since the film is about prejudice, it's a lot about prejudice, and we have a lot of prejudice for good reasons and bad reasons against actors, and it made a lot of sense to make her a public figure, someone that people had a lot of opinions about, that people knew like a little bit about, but not too much, because then they could use that little bit piece of information to construct bigger narratives and realities that kind of fit their own perception of her. And for me, it was just like it made a lot of sense to do that. And also like with the last scene, which is also a dancing scene, you know, when everybody's touching and grabbing her, you know, then I could tell it from two sides, you know, because in the beginning she kind of enjoys the attention, she enjoys the touching and the love and care she feels she is receiving, but then it becomes too much and it becomes abusive. And I was trying also to say something about our obsession with, you know, celebrities and public figures.
How long have you been working in this film?
I started working on it in 2017, and I'm working on it still in a way.
Another way, yeah.
In a way, but it's 8 years, 7-8 years.
And when did you feel that you were ready to let it go? Like, okay, this is what is going to be screened at Cannes and the other festivals and the theaters.
Yeah, I had a screening like a DCP test a couple of days before Cannes, and then I heard something in the sound, and we drove out to the sound studio, changed it, and got it back, and then the producer said, "Now it's done. You have to be done." So 2 days before Cannes.
That's on the clock.
Yeah.
How was living that last night at Cannes when the film won the Golden Camera?
I mean, it was absolutely amazing then, because the Cannes experience was so crazy first, you know, amazing but crazy. Then I was able to go home for a few days and land, you know, being there with my kid and you know, being grounded again. But then they called me and said, you need to come back. But then I actually
did they tell you what prize you had won?
No. They didn't. So it was, you know, it was absolutely amazing, and I changed to my tuxedo in a toilet airport in Zurich, and it was just surreal, the whole thing. But then I knew a little bit what it was about, so I was able to enjoy it.
Because the uncertain regard your section,
Yeah.
the gala is on Friday.
Yeah.
And the other.
Yeah, so I knew it was the Cámara de Oro, but I didn't know if it was the special mention or the prize.
It's a really intense moment, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Oscar race? Because the film has been selected to represent Norway, a film country that does pretty well in the shortlist, for example, and it has wins, it has nominations. What's that experience? Because for European filmmakers, it's quite bizarre.
Yeah, it is bizarre, and I mean, I was in the US for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and we had our first like Academy screenings, and I mean, it's so bizarre. I can't even tell you. I mean, you can say a lot about Americans, but they are really good at watching films also. They have really. And I was really surprised by it in a positive way. I think they watched the film in a very interesting way, and they were so perceptive on so many details, and I was like amazed on how much they were able to perceive from the film by a very first screening, because I know it's a film that it's a lot, you know, and some people cannot take it too much. They have to watch it several times. So yeah. I was impressed by that.
No, I watched it twice. I watched it at Cannes the other day before the interview. It's funny because the other day I was talking with a filmmaker that had taken part in the Oscar race, and he said it's funny because these PR people, they tell you what you can do, what you can't do. For example, you can't take a picture with a fake Oscar. That's forbidden.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm glad you tell me.
And it's like another way of looking at the business, but at the same time, it's a way to keep talking about movies, because now everything's so quick. Movies get released, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're gone. And this way, we're talking 6 months about a film. And you have been working 7 years, so it's good. Even if it can be tiring, it's good at the same time.
It's very good. I'm very happy to have this opportunity, and I feel, honestly, from now on, everything is a bonus.
You're going back now to the States?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, cool. And what about the second film? Did you have like ideas, screenplay?
Yeah, I know what it's gonna be, and I started to working on it, but it's not so much time now. But it will be with Renata. It will be a little bit bigger, but
cool.
But yeah, and I'm really excited about it.
Norwegian or in
Norwegian,
English?
but maybe something in English as well.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about it. And it will still be free. It will still be playful. That's very important for me.
Because she's really busy. She's working a lot.
Yeah.
The other day I watched her also in A Different Man, and Presumably Innocence is everywhere, and it's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy Valladolid, enjoy Spain, and good luck with the screening and everything, and the Oscars, everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Podéis ver la tutoría el 13 de diciembre en cine, si no me falla la memoria, y estos días en Valladolid. Seguimos en kinótico.es, la primera con K, la segunda con C. Gracias.